All right, now we're going to begin to look at solving problems based on selling price, markup based on selling price. Now let me just back up for a second and explain this in a different way. I'm going to close this. How do I close this? I want to be able to just write on the screen. So, all right, I'm going to just, I just want to explain selling price versus cost. So before, when we looked at markup based on cost, we talked about 100% being your cost, right? And then we added to that a markup amount or a percentage of markup, right? So again, if it was 100 with the 125, with the 25% markup, it's 125% total. When it comes to selling price, however, it's a little different. Sometimes we don't know the cost. So in other words, I don't know what I paid. Sometimes retailers buy many items at different times at different prices, and they have a whole inventory of stuff. And they're like, I don't even remember what I paid for those. I don't have good records. So, but I do know what they'll sell for, and I know what I want to make on them. I want to know that I do know the selling price. So in that case, the selling price becomes 100%. And now what I want to find out is how much of that was cost, how much of that was markup, or how much do I want to mark up amount or percentage. And so that's how the next way that we look at this is. And the formula changes us a little bit to what we call the selling price formula. And the whole idea here is that I'm going to mark things up based off of what I can sell them for. And I want to know now what I need to buy them for, what cost I need to make in order to make the percentage I want. Or if I can only buy them at this much and I can only sell them at this much, what is my markup amount or markup percentage that I'm going to have? And so this becomes valuable in that setting. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this screen real quick. And I'm going to expand this back out so that you guys can read it. So here we go. So now we're going to calculate percentages percent markup based on selling price. So the very top there is kind of the quick formula. Like before we had the portion formula. There's also a way that you can do that here. And it's pretty simple by just following that formula that's at the top of the screen. So the first couple of questions in section 8.5 deal with that. Quality hardware and garden supply purchases electric drills for $60 each. So that's the purchase amount. And if the drill sells for 125, what was the markup amount, right? So again, 125 minus 60 equals the markup amount. So that would be what, 65, is that right? Yeah. So 65 would be the markup amount. So that's pretty simple. You just follow that one doesn't show that in the formula, but it's common sense, right? If I paid this much and I sell them for that much, how much is the markup amount? But then it wants to know what is the percentage of markup amount. Sorry, that wasn't the markup amount. That was, yeah, markup amount. So in this case, I would follow the formula because that's what we're looking for, percent. And that's what they asked for. What is the percent of markup based on selling price? So 65 minus 125, remember the selling price. So I would divide those two together. And that would give you my, how much?
52%.
52% would be the math. So I'm going to give it a 50% markup based on selling price. That's going to give me my markup amount. So, and that's the case with anything when you're figuring out percentages between two dates. Like I said, 2021, we made this much. 2022, we made this much. What's the difference? And then you divide that by in this case, you would divide it by the original selling price. But in that case, you divide it by the original year. So going to the next problem, Deals on Wheels buys bicycles from the distributor for $94.50. If the bike sells for $157.50, what is the amount of markup and what is the percent of markup based on selling price? So again, pretty simple. I'm going to take the $157.50. I'm going to minus the $94.50, sorry. And that equals, sorry, Baba, you're my
63.
$63?
Yeah.
Okay, so $63 divided by the selling price in this matter, and that's going to give me my percent of markup.
40%.
So it's a 40% markup. All right, so that's just when you have. Hello? I hear you there, I'm in. You got to mute. I'll do it for you. There you go. All right, so coming down then to 8.6, calculating the selling price when cost and percent and markup are based on selling price are known. And so here's where we begin to use this new formula. It's very similar. The difference is now the selling price is your 100%. And your 1 minus your rate is your cost, which is in some ways your portion. So I'm going to explain that on the next slide. I didn't have room on this one to do it. So let me go to the next one. Oops, sign in. Look at sign in. All right, so this is the same thing, calculating selling price when cost and markup percent on selling price are known. So again, we're going to use this formula, very similar, but how do I know when to use that formula versus using the other one that we were looking at with the cost down here? And it all depends on whether the markup is based on selling price or based on cost. So in this case, because the markup is based on selling price, I'm going to use this formula here. If it says markup based on cost, the cost would be in this bottom left circle and the selling price would be in where the cost is. So these two reverse when I'm trying to figure out again, how much of a markup did I get or how much of a markup do I need based off of selling price, how much I can actually sell it for. So looking at the first problem, High Point Furniture purchases wall units from the manufacturer for $550. So that is their cost. And if the store's policy is to mark up all merchandise 60% on the selling price, what is the retail selling price of the wall? So we're trying to solve for this one right here in this first problem. So we know the cost, again, goes at the top here. So it's $550. And we know the rate, it's 60%. But again, it's this time 1 minus the rate. So in that case, it's going to be 40%. I'm going to divide 550 by 40. And that's going to give me my actual selling price.
1375.
Sorry, 1375. Correct. Is that $13.75 or one? It's 1,375.
1,375.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was getting thrown off. So my actual selling price, if I'm going to mark them up 60%, is $1,375. That's what I would sell that item for in order to get that 60% markup. So again, I had to divide this by the complement of the rate. The rate was 60, but because I'm doing this formula, it's 1 minus 60, so it's 40%. So I have to put, basically I'm putting the 550 back in, and then I'm multiplying it by the 60, and it gives me the 1375. So anyway, so let's look at the next problem. Make the formula at the beginning. Okay, menswear buys a suit for $169. So that's the cost this time. So I have the cost, $169. If the manufacturer, it's a 35% markup based on cost or selling price is the objective, what should the selling price of the suit be? Again, we're dealing with this division against 1 minus 0.35, which would be 0.65. So I divide the 169, which is my cost, by the 0.65 in order to get my
$260.
So I could sell it, my selling price is $260. Again, that formula kind of, now in your book, by the way, I didn't point this up, but your book uses a whole different type of formula, but to me, it's extremely confusing. I sat there for a half hour trying to figure it out. And I said, I'm just going to use my formulas. I think they're easier. So those of you who are watching the video, in my opinion, get helped in this. Those who try and figure out what the book says is going to have a little bit more trouble, I think. But anyway, so that's the second area in which we look at it. Then we come to the last one here. We're still using the same formula, but we're going to be solving for the other factors this time. So 8.7, calculating cost when selling price and percent markup on selling price are known. So we're going to figure out, we're going to use the selling price formula if it says it's based on selling price. So again, if a buyer for a chain of boutiques is looking for a line of dresses for a retail, that's their selling price in this case. So now we're trying to find the cost up here. So the retail amount is 120. And then they want to, if a 40% markup based on selling price is the objective, so 1 minus 0.40, so that would be 0.60. They want to know what the cost is.
$72.
So $72. That's 40% markup on selling price from the $120 retailer selling price that was there. So that would be your answer. $72 was my cost. So again, you might go, hey, I don't remember what the cost is, but I definitely want to I want to be able to mark those dresses up or that protein powder up by 40%. That's my standard. I mark everything up by 40%. So how much do I need to pay maximum in order to be able to get that 40%? Well, I can't spend any more than $72 from my manufacturer, retailer, or excuse me, a wholesaler in order for me to be able to get the 40% I want and be able to sell them for what they'll sell, which is the $120. So that's why it becomes beneficial to understand this. And then what is the most a gift shop can pay for a set of wine glasses if she wants a 55% markup based on selling price and expects to sell the glasses for $79. So again, we're going to do 79. That's what she wants to sell them for. That's selling price up here. And she wants to be able to mark them up by 55%. So 1 minus 0.55, again, because that's the complement of it. So that would be what? 0.35? No, 45?
45.
45, sorry. Can you guys read?
$35.55.
So $35.55 would be the cost. So the most I want to pay for a set of wine glasses is 55% of what I can sell them for, which is $79. So I can't get them for any less than 35, 55 or any more than 35, 55 or else it isn't going to be worth my effort or my time. So that's what we call markup based on selling price. And you're going to use that formula that I have. I have all these formulas for you, both in the homework as well as in the formula sheet. I added a formula sheet to this module. I'll be adding it every week with more formulas added. So you're welcome to use those formulas. And then the last thing here, 8.8, is dealing with percent markup based on cost and converting that to a percent markup based on selling price. So sometimes it's just easier to convert them. You're like, I'm not really sure how to do it, so I can just convert them. So if I'm trying to find the percent markup based on selling price, I don't know what that is. I could take the percent of markup based on costs and I can divide it by 1 plus the percent of markup based on costs. So in this case, if my markup based on cost was, or selling price was $72, it would actually be this one here. I'm trying to find the markup based on cost. I would take the $72, or sorry, excuse me, I would take the 60%. I would divide it by 1 minus 60%, which is 0.40%. And that would be my markup based on cost if I was to take this problem here and use that formula. So sometimes you have to switch back and forth. There may be a problem on your quiz that asks you to do that. So that's why I included it here. But that's pretty much it for markups based on cost. And then video 1, markups based on selling price. Now we're going to move into markdowns. Any questions before I move on? All right, I do have one more sheet here. I think I had a sheet for markup based on cost, looking at a couple of our problems for, and I wish I would have did it. I wish I would have did it at the end of the last video, but let me see if I could find it. I have one here, and maybe I didn't include it, but there was yeah, I didn't include it. It was a couple of the first questions on the check-in assignment, and I didn't include it. I apologize. So maybe I'll do a separate video on that, because I did, by the way, in case you didn't notice,